Hi, I'm Jeff DeRiso from Beckman Collaborative, and today I'm going to show you how to automatically create a Zoho Writer document and associate it to a particular type of task in Zoho Projects. We'll achieve this using a custom function attached to a workflow rule, which will give us the widest range of options when it comes to customizing and automating the document creation process. So let's get into Zoho Projects, and I'll show you how it works. So here we are in Zoho Projects. We're in our test project, and the first thing I want to show you is the native integration between Zoho Projects and Zoho WorkDrive and Writer. Now, if you're on the Zoho Projects Enterprise plan, you also have access to Zoho WorkDrive and Zoho Writer, and there is a native integration between Writer, WorkDrive, and Projects. So to access that built-in integration, we go to Documents in the project here, and you can click Create or Associate Team folder. So if you click this allows you to create a private team folder and give access to your team in Zoho Projects to that folder. You can also associate an existing team folder. You see, if I click that, we have this Zoho CRM team folder. Now, the way this integration works is that you can only create or associate a project with a private team folder in Zoho WorkDrive. And a private team folder just means that only certain invited people within your organization have access to this folder. And in Zoho WorkDrive, team folders are the high-level folders where you can have many subfolders within them. So if that works for your organization, creating a private team folder and associating it to the project, then you should definitely use this native integration. And once you do associate that team folder with the project, you will have the ability to go to that Documents tab and create a Zoho Writer document directly there. But in certain cases, that may not be what you want. So, for example, let's go back to our tasks for a minute. So we have this case study task here. It's assigned to me. So let's say that we have these case study tasks and we want to create a writer document for each one of these tasks, but we just want to put them in one subfolder in our existing WorkDrive folder structure. And we want these case study documents to all go in the same folder, regardless of which project or task they're associated to. So if I click on this case study task here and open the details, you can see we have this related doc URL. This is a custom field, and we use this in our organization to associate these writer documents with specific tasks that involve creating a document. So you can see I just have the Zoho Projects homepage listed there. But what we want to do is whenever we create these case study tasks, we want to automatically create a blank Zoho Writer document, put it in the case studies folder, and put the link to it in this task. So every time that task gets created with a case study in the name, we want that to come right here automatically. So we don't even have to worry about going to Zoho Writer or WorkDrive and creating it and then coming back to Projects. It's just going to be here in Projects for us. So we can get to work faster on these case study tasks. So in that case, because it's not a private team folder, we're going to need to use a different method to streamline this workflow. So what I first want to do is create a custom function by going to the setup icon here. And we'll go to developer space. Well, actually, before we create a custom function, we first need to create a connection. So here's my connections page. Connections are just a way to automatically authorize API calls between applications. And Zoho makes it really easy. We can just click Create Connection. Select Zoho OAuth. Now we give our connection a name. And we select the scope as Writer. And these two scopes come up. We select both of these. And we click Create and Connect. But I'm not going to do that because I already have this connection created. So I'll click Cancel. So once we've created that connection successfully, we go to Custom Functions and select Tasks module from the dropdown. You can see I have a couple of functions already in the task module. We'll create a new one by clicking the button here, and we'll create our own. So the function name will be create and associate writer doc. So the next thing we want to do is add arguments. Click add arguments here. We're going to add several arguments. First, the portal ID. And from the parameter value, we select portal system ID here. Let's add another, and we'll do the same thing for the project ID. Project system ID, the task ID, and we do also want to get the task name. And the project name. And I'll tell you the reason for that in a second. So now we have our arguments. So now we've opened up our Deluge editor and we can start writing our custom function. So the first thing we want to do, I'll just leave a comment here. This is not part of the code, is just create our document. So now the reason that I inserted the task name and project name as arguments is because I want to use those to automatically populate the file name of this document. So I'll create a new variable here called doc name, and that is the project name. Plus space hyphen space plus task name. So what that means is that I've now put those two strings of text together, the project name and the task name with a hyphen between. And that new name, doc name, is going to be used as our file name. So the next thing we want to do is create a blank document file. We'll do that by creating a variable, new file equals, and we'll take the string of text from the document name and we'll do dot to file and open parentheses. And now we'll give it a generic name, name.docx. So we've just created a document file from that string of text that is the name. And now we'll rename it when we add it to Zoho Writer. So we'll create a new variable, upload doc equals, and now we'll use our integration task for Zoho Writer, and that is zoho.writer.upload document. And we have to insert some arguments into our integration task. The first is the file content. So that is the new file variable that we just created. So we insert that, and then the second string of text here is the file name. And for that, we use our doc name variable. The next string of text we have to insert is the folder ID. So where do we find this folder ID? What we have to do is now go to our work drive folder. So I'll go to it in another tab here. So in this tab, I have a separate folder that I made just for this tutorial called tutorial. And in the URL here, I want to go all the way to the end of it where it says folders and /, and everything after this / I want to copy because that is the folder ID. So I'll select that and copy. Now go back to my function here and I will paste that between quotation marks right there. Now the next parameter for our integration task is a password, which is optional. So if you do not want to password protect your document, you can just leave that blank by passing a blank string of text between two quotation marks. And the last argument for our integration task is our connection link name. So we just made that connection on the previous screen. Now we just insert that unique link name here, which is projects_writer. And we do a semicolon. So when we submit this integration task to Zoho Writer, we will get a response back, and that response will be stored in this upload doc variable. And in that response will be the unique URL to this document. So we'll create a new variable here. And we'll take our upload doc variable and we'll do a get function. And the key that we need to get is open underscore URL. So when we get this response back from Zoho Writer, it'll be stored in this upload doc variable. And within that will be the URL, and it'll be stored under the key open URL. So then we get that URL, we store it in this doc URL variable. So now we've created the document, we've added it to Zoho Writer, and we've gotten its URL. So the next thing we need to do is update the task to fill that related doc URL field with this unique URL. So we'll go to the next line and we'll say URL field update. So to do this field update, let's create an empty map. And then we'll write URL map variable dot put. And this is where we put our field API name and the value that we want to put in it. Now, because this is a custom field, we have to do this a little bit differently. So the key is going to be custom fields, custom underscore fields. And then the value is going to be another map. So we're going to open brackets. And here's where we need to insert our custom field API name. Now, if you don't know where to find that, I'll show you real quick. So first, I just want to comment out all this. And what I want to do is pull the task record. So I'll say task info equals zoho.projects.get record by ID. And we'll put in our portal ID. And our project ID. And our module name, which is tasks. And our task ID. Now we'll do an info statement for that, task info, and we'll execute. Now it's asking me for the task ID variable. So let's go to another tab here and get our case study task. We want to make sure we have a task where this field is filled, or else it won't show up in our JSON response. So we'll take the task ID, we'll copy it from the URL, and we'll insert that as our argument. Click execute. So here we've gotten this response back from our get records integration task. And you see this key custom fields. And within that is the column name. And that is our API name of our custom field. So this is our custom field API name. And you can see the value is projects.zoho.com. So now I'll copy this from here, go back to our function, and we'll get rid of this because we don't need it anymore. And we'll bring back this part of the code by hitting Control and / on the keyboard. So now in this map, within a map here in custom fields, I'll put my key as that API name that we just got from the response. And then I'll put a colon, oops. And then I'll put a colon. And now I'll insert the value by using the doc underscore URL variable that we got from our Zoho Writer response. And we'll do a semicolon at the end of this line. And now that we formatted our map correctly, we will do our update integration task in Zoho Projects. So we'll create a variable for that. Update task. equals zoho.projects.update. And our first argument is the portal ID, just like before. And we're going to do the project ID, the module name, the task ID, and for this last argument, we insert our map name, which is URL_map. So now let's info our response from Zoho Projects. And we'll click Save. You can see I got a syntax error because I put a colon instead of a semicolon on this map variable here. So I'll make that a semicolon, and we'll click Save. So now that we've created our custom function, we can create a workflow rule and attach this to it. So let's go to Task Automation here, Workflow Rules, and we'll create a new workflow rule. We'll call this Case Study Documents, and we want this to trigger when a task is created, so we'll leave that trigger. Now for our criteria, for the sake of demonstration, we'll use our test project. We'll select test project as the project. And our additional criteria will be that the task name contains case study. And this will be case sensitive. So however you capitalize it here, that will be the condition that's set. Now, of course, you could create a separate field that denotes a certain task type, and you could use that as your criteria. But just for the sake of this demonstration, I'll use the task name and project name. So then we'll click Done for our criteria. Now we add our action, and we simply associate this custom function that we already created. And we'll click Associate, and we'll click Execute Next Workflow Rule. And that means that any updates made by this rule will trigger any other workflow rules if they fit that criteria. So we'll click Save Rule. So now we've created our custom function in our workflow rule. So now let's go back to our project and create a new task to test it. So we will add a new task, case study. And we'll click Add. So now let's go into our details of this new task. And you can see right here, we have a link to a writer document. Let's click on that. So that takes us immediately to Zoho Writer, and it opens up this document, and this document has the name Test Project and the name of the task. And the location of this document is in this tutorial folder that we just created. So here it is, created automatically when we created the task, and automatically updated here to show that URL. So that's how you create and associate a Zoho Writer document to a task in Zoho Projects. So this just helps you spend less time clicking around and opening other tabs, and just gets you working on your document a lot faster. Like I said in the beginning, this obviously opens up a wide range of possibilities to customizing our document creation. We could also create a work drive folder, subfolder, to put this document in and put that link here. We could also create a merge template in Zoho Writer, which we talked about in previous videos, to create a pre-formatted PDF template to merge our task fields into. So there's a lot of possibilities. Please leave any questions you have in the comments, and you can always contact Beckman Collaborative for support. Also, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.